Are you trying to strengthen a relationship with a friend or a romantic partner or a colleague? Well, I have you covered with this pick a card reading, so stick around. Hello and welcome to my channel. If you haven't met me yet, I am Leesa and I'm a certified tarot consultant, and on this channel I do pick a card readings, I do guided meditations and month ahead and tarotscope readings. And I wanted to do one today just real quick on how to strengthen a relationship that you currently have, so an existing relationship. So as I said in the intro, this could be a relationship that you have that is romantic in nature. It could be a friendship that you are trying to expand, or it could be you trying to get on the better side of someone at your workplace. So we're going to have just a really quick reading here. I have a few different decks that I'm going to be working with. So what I'm going to ask for you to do right now as I'm beginning to shuffle is I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and think about that one person that you would like to strengthen a relationship with. And I'm going to ask that you go ahead and really think about them and focus on that one person. And while you are doing that, go ahead and get yourself into a bit of a fuzzy headspace, because I'm going to ask you to tap into your intuition here in just a quick second. So we're going to look at a couple of different things here, guys. We're going to look at the energies sort of surrounding your relationship at this point between the two of you. We're going to spend some time looking at something you can do actively in the way to project sort of when you're interacting with this person, and kind of how you should be interacting with them and responding to them. And then, of course, what type of active thing can you do to help strengthen the relationship as well. So we've got a few different things we're going to be looking at. Okay. So hopefully you have been focusing on that person. You have gotten yourself into a focused headspace and ready to tap into your intuition. I'm just simply going to show you, three stones, and I want you just to see which one of these three, while you're focusing on that person, is most speaking to you today. So the first stone that I have for you is a pink quartz. Okay. The next one is this chunk of carnelian. I'm sorry, this is rose quartz, excuse me. And then amethyst. All right. So you have the rose quartz, the carnelian, the amethyst. Take a deep breath in and out. And if you're excited for this reading, guys, please go ahead and give this a thumbs up. And while you're doing that, go down to find the timestamp for the appropriate stone for you and meet me there for your reading. Okay, so if you chose the rose quartz, then this quick reading is for you. So I'm not sure who you are thinking about in your head, whether it's a friend or a colleague. I'd love to know. Pop that down in the comments. Let me know what type of person you're considering for this reading. But the first thing I want to do is just look at the energy in your relationship just right away. And I am seeing actually two different messages depending on who this is. So for some of you, I'm actually seeing this tension. In both cases, I'm seeing an emotional tension. But for some of you out there, this is related to a lack of sort of emotional understanding or willingness to kind of say what's in someone's mind or someone's heart. And for others of you, it has to actually do with quite a bit of drama, maybe too much drama in the area of emotions. But in both cases, we're talking about sort of an energy between the two of you that is not flowing properly, just simply because of some issues with the way the emotions are being handled in this particular relationship. So take some time to kind of consider that and think about how you might be able to actively make some changes there. I want to take a look at kind of the way that you are perceiving this other person, what you should celebrate in them, and kind of how you should yourself give of yourself or project of yourself in this particular relationship that's really going to help strengthen things. So let's look first at what you need to do. Okay, so the Six of Pentacles, guys, is a beautiful card, but it's all about this idea of being willing to give. Oftentimes giving without without thinking that you're going to get something in return. So what I'm seeing for you in this relationship that you have with this person, you need to be willing to give a little bit here. You need to be willing to give without the understanding that something else is going to be on the other side. So not transactional. So doing something just to do that thing because you know that it's going to be good for the other person. If you're doing something just because you're trying to get something out of it, oftentimes it taints the entire act, and that person will be really aware of that. So I would say be willing to give, but give in a way that doesn't ask for something in return. The thing that you want to do to celebrate this other person. Okay, this is wow, the star is such a big concept and such a big idea. You need to tap into the side of this person and really celebrate in this person that ability to persevere even when things can be really difficult, or be optimistic even when it seems as though there's no reason to be optimistic. And this is going to come across with such a big card. It's going to come across in a lot of different ways. But think about these ideas of being like really optimistic or hopeful, or being willing to push forward even against, the odds, being very confident in themselves and their abilities. Any of those things that's really hitting on that, those are the things you really need to celebrate in that person, compliment them on that, and be willing to kind of mention those things to them. And that should be really helpful in cultivating something that's going to be a bit better. Really celebrate that in them. All right, and then the last card I want to pull just has to do with, an action that you can take just right off the bat. That's going to be really helpful. And before I get to this, guys, just a reminder, this is a pretty short reading. I do one-on-one readings if you'd like to book that. I also do longer, month ahead readings and whatnot. So I would say go ahead and check those out down below if you've not seen those before. Certainly subscribe to the channel. I would love to see you for another one of our readings and have you as part of the community. Okay. So, all right, so the card that I'm getting here is this concept of well-being. And I'm going to kind of zoom in here so you can see this whole picture, because it's just beautiful art on these particular cards. So this idea of cultivating well-being is really asking you, especially when we're talking about a relationship here and seeing this piece about giving of yourself, you need to consider and think about the relationship as a whole. Think about it from all different sides and consider how can you find a balance in the relationship that will allow it to flow and grow and move ahead, and really look at it from all different angles. What can you do to provide that balance and the best thing moving ahead? Okay. And that is what is asking you to kind of focus on and move ahead with. So if we take a look here, guys, I would pay attention to some of those emotional things as just as a recap, what's being emotionally blocked or what's being sort of emotionally overexpressed. How can you give of yourself without asking for things back? And how can you celebrate that level of perseverance or positivity or hopefulness that this other person tends to have, all while trying to find this really strong balance and cultivate just something that feels good for both of you. And that would be my suggestion. I appreciate you being here, guys. Give this a thumbs up if it was helpful, and I will see you next time. Okay, if you went with the Carnelian, then this reading is for you. And the card that I pull here, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck art-wise. Absolutely love this card. But the card I pulled was the Eight of Pentacles. So I'm feeling right off the bat that this relationship that you have is, I mean, your thoughts off the bat is that this relationship is more work than it needs to be. You know, why do you have to work so hard for this relationship? That's kind of what I'm seeing, you know, just right off there. Some relationships flow really easily. Some do not. Some are just really difficult. And it feels like you have to spend a lot of time you know, creating something that's going to be good. So the question might be, you know, with this particular person, and I'd love to know if this is a friend, a colleague, you know, a lover. Let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to know what type of person you're sort of considering. But sometimes we choose the people that we have relationships with, and sometimes we don't. So, but it seems to me that this just seems like a lot of work. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad. Sometimes the best relationships, say a marriage, for example, can be a lot of work, but ultimately, you know, you reap great benefits. So I wanted to see a couple of things here about how you can kind of project or give of yourself and a way that you can celebrate the other person. Okay, so right away for some of you guys, I am seeing that you are here because this relationship has gone through some, you know, recent bumps or changes. Because what I'm seeing for, you know, you to do at this point and how you want to kind of present yourself or give of yourself is just flexibility, ability to change and kind of roll with the punches. If this is someone that, you know, you've been friends with or had a relationship with a long time, things may have changed or, you know, be in the process of changing, and that can sometimes be really difficult. For others of you, they might be looking at you as someone that is unwilling to change or who's unwilling to kind of make changes as time moves forward. So the big key that I'm getting here is this concept of being flexible, and show that you can be flexible. Show that you can, you know, adjust to things as situations and circumstances change. And that should allow things to flow a bit better. One of the things that you need to really celebrate within this person, especially if it's something that they're still working on, has to do with that ability to be steadfast and be loyal and know what they're about and be really strong in their convictions. Now, those are a number of different things, and not all of them may apply to the person that you are looking at, but those are the types of things that you want to celebrate. If that's something that they're still working on, you think, wow, you know, sometimes they have a hard time with being loyal or whatnot. You need to, you know, celebrate that. And then when you see that come through and help them see that in a really positive light. The Prince of Pentacles is all about that concept of knowing something deep within and being willing to kind of stay with that thing and be really confident in your decisions and loyal to that particular thing. So you want to celebrate that type of concept within them, however that sort of comes about. Okay, now let's look at something really actionable. How can you move forward with this particular relationship in a way that's going to give you a better footing? Because this isn't necessarily bad, but it is something that, you know, can be a bit stressful. By the way, guys, this is a very fast reading. I do longer readings for the start of every month and the start of every astrological season. I also do personal one-on-one readings if you'd like something. That way you can certainly book that. Please feel free to go ahead and hit subscribe down below so that you won't miss those next readings that I have. And certainly give it a thumbs up if this has been helpful. And that one just flew out. We're actually going to go with that one. All right, wow, okay. So one of the biggest things that you can do that's going to help cultivate a better relationship with this person is to allow some freedom there. And this could be freedom of thought. I'm actually getting a lot of freedom of thought, freedom of that ability to be able to express yourself or have them be able to express themselves in a particular way. So something is being kind of bound up, and especially I'm seeing that with, you know, sometimes if you're working on something so hard, you know, and maybe if you're not being overly flexible, this is saying, you know, hey, push for that flexibility, allow for that flexibility, allow for things to flow. Okay, that is what I'm seeing. Be willing to, praise or celebrate within this other person this idea of, sticking to their convictions, even with this sort of, sort of flowing side of things. Keep that in mind and be willing to celebrate that. But that should be very helpful for you as you're moving forward in this relationship. So let me know down below, guys, if this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for sticking around and for hanging out with me today. And I will see you in the next reading. Okay, if you chose the Amethyst, then this is going to be your reading. And the card I have to start to look at just the combined energy that I'm seeing right now is the Knight of Pentacles, but he is reversed. He's standing on his head. This speaks to a relationship that either is really getting off on the wrong foot. I'm kind of seeing two things here. Either it's really getting off on the wrong foot, or the foundation was not laid properly when this relationship first started. The other thing that I'm seeing, and you have to see kind of which way this is coming from since this is a collective reading, I'm seeing for some of you, this is a relationship that you have had for a long time, but the foundations that you have had with this person and the things that you thought you knew are beginning to sort of crumble, or things are changing. Things are not quite the same as what they were, and this is sort of throwing you for a loop. So I'm seeing some foundational issues here, whether that's the switching of a foundation on an existing long-term relationship, or if this is something that's new or fairly new and you just feel like you got off on the wrong foot. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. Let me know down below, guys, in the comments if you are looking at a romantic relationship or a colleague or a friend. I would love to know kind of what type of relationship you are focusing on. That helps me determine what type of videos to make in the future. But I want to take a look at, for the next part, take a look at, what can you project more of yourself or give of yourself more, and what can you celebrate in the other person? So let's take a look at that. All right. So projecting of yourself, 8 of Pentacles, and this is actually very funny, guys, because I'm already having 2 cards that were the same as one of the other readings, and it's only 4 cards, so that always cracks me up when that happens. You need to be willing to work for this relationship. You need to be willing to put in the time. You need to be willing to look at the details. You need to be willing to consider all the different points. Okay, so if this is a relationship that you are wondering, well, why is this not working? But you're not willing to, sit down and look at it and think about it, and make the effort to reach out, or make the effort to bridge maybe some sort of lack of understanding, then it's not going to work out. So you need to be willing to put in the work. Not only that, this person needs to see you doing that. Okay, so not that you need to gloat or put it in their face or say, hey, I'm working on this, but you're not. That's not what I mean. But they need to see you taking steps and making an effort to try to bridge whatever gap is there, or to try to help with this foundation, whatever that is. All right, in this other person, oh, wow. Okay, in this other person, you need to celebrate. You need to look and celebrate with them and for them. And look at all these Pentacle cards. It's very interesting. Ace of Pentacles has a really big energy around it, guys. So I'm going to have a couple of things that are coming through here. This is going to, depending on what type of relationship this is, frame this in whatever way is going to make sense for the energy around this card for your situation. The Ace of Pentacles is a card about, it can be a card about new starts. It can be a card about money. It can be a card about practicality. It can be a card about understanding how to build good foundations, or things that last for a long, long time. All those things sort of float in a very similar pond, so to speak. So think about how this relates to this person. Celebrate them, compliment them on their ability to, work well with money, or work well with practical matters, or be really down to earth, or know exactly what they want in a very tangible type way. All of those things is kind of the energy surrounded in this card. So think about that and how that applies to this person, and be willing to really celebrate that when you see that come up in your interactions with them. So I want to take a look at one final card here just to see what type of things you can do kind of moving forward. And by the way, guys, I know this is a very short video. It's a really short reading. I do month ahead readings that are longer, as well as seasonal tarotscope readings. Go ahead and hit subscribe so that you can make sure that you're seeing those when those come out. Also, if you wanted to book a private one-on-one reading, you can go to my website and go ahead and do that there. All right. So we already are seeing a very, lots of pentacles here, lots of practicality and just work-focused stuff. Let's see what, wow, okay. Some of you are watching this and this is a work person. Holy geez. Okay. This is asking you, so when it says financial health, the first thing that pops to mind is money. So some of you, one of the biggest things you can do to make this relationship better is going to be money focused, and just make sure that the money is not an issue in the relationship. That can be true for colleagues. That can be true for romantic relationships. Money is actually in the top 3 reasons why people break up or split. So take some time to consider that. If it's not money exactly, if it's not like, you know, coins, cash, think about the things that are being exchanged that are very tangible and very practical. So it doesn't necessarily have to be money as in something physical in that way. It doesn't have to be dollars and cents, so to speak, but it can be something that is being traded, or there's a transactional piece that's happening there. So for some of you, this might be, well, it has nothing to do with money, but you know, I do this for you, so you do this for me. So oftentimes transactional relationships have a really tough time surviving. So if you are going to, just as a recap here, you know, if this foundation is not great, or if something there is beginning to crack, make sure that you are working towards some sort of resolution. Make sure you are celebrating any sort of work that this person is also putting forward. Make sure you're not being super transactional. It's important for them to see that you are making an effort, but you don't have to, you know, do it just because you're expecting something in return. So keep those things in mind. I enjoyed having you here, guys. Give this a thumbs up if it was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video.